At some point in this video, I'm going to put this image on screen for about 300 milliseconds, and I want you to try to click it in that time. Now, 300 milliseconds is pretty generous because it's on the lower end of the human reaction time, which is on average about 250. You guys are probably young and gamers if you're watching me, so you're more likely to be around 200 actually. Now, the reason why we're doing this exercise is because I'm going to train you to think fast. Ooh, you didn't expect that, you little Alright, let's get right into it. Number 1, your monitor. Press Windows plus the I key, go to System, Display, and check your refresh rate. If you have literally any other system, just go and find it somehow, I don't know. If this number is anything close to 60, it hurts your performance. Set your refresh rate to anything you have above this, or if you can't, go buy another monitor. Now this would be a perfect spot for a monitor sponsor, but I don't have one for you today. What I do have, however, is a timer for today's actual sponsor, which I'll take up a good chunk to teach you some shortcuts instead. Arrow keys left and right to go back and forth respectively, shift, comma, and period to slow down and speed up, double tap here on mobile to skip ahead if you'd like. Sign up for a free 1-hour session of coaching. The business model is simple. They're confident that one session is good enough that people want to become customers, so they hand that shit out to you. If you're not serious about getting at least diamond, do not sign up and waste your time. Alright, back to the video. Just make sure you have a fast refresh rate. It's a super simple concept, so simple in fact that I'm not even going to explain it. Just don't forget to get the right cables and enable your monitor. Number 2, drink water. I know this sounds really stupid, but I don't want to explain the science here because I'm fighting for your attention span. Just literally drink water. Even if I'm wrong, it really can't hurt to drink water, man. Alright, number 3, priming. Now we're gonna actually get into the nerdy shit, but I'm gonna simplify the language, hopefully not at the cost of accuracy so that you guys may understand. Priming is basically making an association between two things, so when you experience the first one, you have a faster response to the second one. Give you an example. What is Ezreal about to do? Fire an ability, of course, but how did you know that? Well, of course, you were watching for his. It starts with the letter A. Yes, you were looking at his ass. The moment he moved it, you knew he would fire his ultimate. So let's see it again. Ezreal goes to move his ass, and he fires his Q. Okay, let's examine what just went on in your brain. You're used to his ulti animation with this grand movement, and then a huge projectile flies out. But when a Q comes out, it thinks, huh, that doesn't look right. Editing aside, if that happened in an actual game, you go, what the fuck? But thankfully, most animations in League of Legends are accurate, right? Well, generally speaking, yes. That's why your brain knows to look for certain animations and then respond accordingly, or at least it should. That's where priming comes in. If you're primed for an animation, you'll be way faster to react to the projectile. Now that's me putting it in ridiculously simple terms for MOBAs, but the principle is all you need to understand. So again, thing 1 results in thing 2, watch for thing 1 to respond to thing 2 faster. This is a basic fundamental skill that goes hand in hand with the next thing. Prediction/expectation. Instead of having to watch every animation, you can save yourself a ton of work by anticipating what your opponent would do ahead of time so you can narrow down the things to be looking for. To do this, you think about what your opponent can do and therefore what they will do based on the context of the situation. It's a sort of mental priming, but I feel like I'll lose you here, so it's time to step out of theory and go into a realistic example. Here the Lee Sin kicks me and follows it up with a Q, and because I don't flash the Q, I'm in danger because, well, he's on me. Now I'm thinking about all his possible reasonable moves, and it looks something like this. Some sort of combination of auto-attacking and auto-attacking. Well, until his abilities are up, right? Because he just uses W, which goes on full cooldown because he went into a ward, his kick, his Q, and his E. Even without knowing his exact cooldowns, I know that in just a few moments his Q will be up. So because I'm already mentally prepared for his next Q, I flash the fuck out of there early, and now I'm watching for the animation. Any tells that he'll go into a Q. Watch my cursor, I'm already anticipating it and I've primed myself for his little arm push animation, go into a dodge, and then Bard approaches me. Here comes my first mistake. I didn't anticipate the Bard flashing on me even though I could have, because so long as my team doesn't ping Bard's flash and I don't see him use it, I could reasonably expect him to have flash. Given that, he could potentially Q flash me. He doesn't here, instead, he goes into an auto attack first, which is undodgeable, and then he Qs. But if you Q flashed immediately, I wouldn't have been prepared for it because I wasn't mentally primed for the play, nor was I even looking for the animation to begin with. I didn't even react to his auto attack, and it totally looks like his Q, so had it actually been his Q, I would have been so screwed. Ignoring the fact that I was probably screwed anyway, you can clearly see the difference between being ready for some shit versus not. So it's a good thing that I'm ready as fuck for the rest of the clip. Okay, here comes Mord, what's he gonna do? Let's apply the same thought process. Okay, what are his reasonable options? Run at me, E from a distance, flash. Well, if he flashes on me, I have 0 options, so I'm not gonna even prepare a response for that. If he runs at me, I have to run away, but if he E's me, I have to dodge that shit, so I'm primed for his arm swinging. Let's take a look. Nice good dodge, give him a bit of DPS, but now what? Ezreal's here and more Qs come back up soon. You can imagine all the different things that he could possibly do, and a lot of them I have no options for, so I'm only watching for where their Qs go. Everything else, I'm dead. I'll let the clip play out, and then let's watch it back in full, keeping in mind all the things I mentioned. You guys suck dickhole. If you're wondering what the second mistake was, it was trusting my team. Okay, hopefully you understand the difference between using your eyes to prep yourself for a literal animation and using game knowledge to discern what animation you'll end up seeing, as well as the close relationship between the two. There is of course a third component that we have to go over before we talk about the most important topic, the most interesting one as well, which gets all the fighting game players horny. The component being of course, audio. Yes, audio is very important. Coming from someone who played with no sound for 10 years and trained purely his own visuals, I can definitely tell you that audio can and will help. To put it simply, light travels faster than sound, yes, but your ears are faster than your eyes for registering stimuli unless they're far away, but you're playing a video game, dude, you're right there. Here are a couple sounds for you to try and recognize. Can you get all of them? Some of these you might not know, but the general tip that I'll give is whenever you play against a character, whether it's in lane or you're ganking in lane and they have a crucial ability, just pay attention to what it sounds like and remember it. Additionally, get rid of this shit, definitely this shit, this one too. We're not playing Minecraft here, guys, and this one needs to go as well. Finally, we can talk about the good shit. This one's for you, Adrian, I know you're watching this. Mental stack, yes! This is the final boss of all concepts. What the fuck is mental stack? Well, good thing I taught you at the start of the video, right? If you're confused, let's put it this way. How many of you guys were waiting for this image to pop up? Let's say about 95% of you guys probably forgot, and the other 13%, you were waiting until now, and then you didn't expect it, and then boom, there you go, right? That's because the human brain can only pay attention to so many things at once. This is honestly best explained through examples, so let's look at a simulated one first. In this example, I'm playing mid lane as Brand vs Ori. There are like 30 different things to look at, you know? Your cooldowns, your HP, your mana, your summoners, maybe even like a rune, like a keystone, is it up or not? And that's just your character. Now you also have to look at your opponents, his items, did he pop a pot? It's his HP, his mana, where's the ball, right? The minions as well. What HP are the minions? Is the cannon gonna die first? What's getting hit? How about the map? We don't see the enemy jungle on any wards because, you know, this is like a fake situation. But I think you get it by now. There's clearly a priority list of what you're probably looking at and thinking about, right? This is the basis of mental stack. At any given moment, just like a computer, there's a certain amount of memory dedicated to each task, and once you take control over that and what you pay attention to, you can become a way better and way faster League of Legends player. I'm gonna play this clip out from this position. I want you to pay attention to what you're paying attention to, okay? Let me repeat that so you understand. Pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Watch closely. Did you notice the Nidalee? Did you even expect the Nidalee? I intentionally tried to make it seem like it was a 1v1, but I actually got two guys to play with me to try to subvert your expectations. Most people, I'd assume, are just looking at the Orianna coming up, while the more astute bunch probably noticed the Nidalee creeping into view here, right? So what can we learn from this? First, always have a proper priority list of things to watch out for. In a real game, junglers exist. They can gank you. But it is supremely important that you guys understand one key thing. The more things you try to prepare responses for, the slower every response will be. This is why in previous examples you heard me eliminate certain options, because there's no point preparing for them in that context. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about things like auto attacks if they flash on you, but you can prepare ahead of time to be out of their range, for example, right? We all know this is auto spacing, which is a cringe term that cringe ADC players jerk themselves off over. To their credit, they're doing a good job at priming themselves for the enemy's model turning around and immediately responding to that. Great! Now try doing that while you have a Nidalee Spear, Lee Sin Q, Bard Q, Mord Q, Ezreal Q, and Iron Man aiming at you. You're gonna have to prioritize, aren't you? Now thankfully in real games you rarely have like 30 things flying at you, but I also can't give you a general answer for what you should be prioritizing, as it changes from situation to situation. With all that in mind, let's summarize. Think ahead of time to mentally prepare for what your opponent will try to do by examining what's available to them and what a reasonable play would be. Try to get used to visual and audio cues, have a prepared response for them, whether it's dodging manually, flashing, or using an ability to counter. Pay attention to things around you. Should be okay. Yeah, this guy's gonna be in this bush, right? Prioritize the most important and crucial ones, and don't bog yourself down with too many extraneous details. If you do this at all times, you don't actually need to be a raw mechanical monster with like 150 ms reaction times. You'll notice that you can react to a ton of shit without even thinking because you've already done the thinking. All that's left is for you to click your mouse or press your buttons. That's it. So for today's video, I went with a somewhat simpler approach, but if you want to study reaction times, priming, mental stack, all this stuff, you can find a ton of resources online, especially from the fighting game community. I'm just trying to make it simple and digestible. Hope it helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one. And no, I'm not going to put up the Ingenious Hunter icon. I was just doing that to make a cool narrative callback to it. And also, you don't need to scrub the bar like you're doing right now, try to find it or anything. I put the black screen here so that I could put up the YouTube end screen things, like the clicky things like subscribe and whatnot, which you should, by the way. I'm on layer 7.